G'day guys, got a really quick video today. We're changing a thermostat over. If you want to do it, it's a good time to do it if you're doing a coolant flush at the same time. So I'll make this video quick. If you want to see how to drain the coolant and do the coolant flush, there'll be another video up that way, I think. So we need a thermostat, and you may or may not need a thermostat gasket depending on your car, but in this case we're going to use a gasket. Radiator at the front. Just down here is your thermostat. That bolt on top is an air bleeder bolt. Thermostat housing, thermostat cover, and this hose here. We'll be disconnecting this hose, loosening these two bolts. The thermostat itself sits in between here and here, which we'll see when we take it out, and we just make sure we put it back in the same way. We have drained the coolant as part of a coolant flush, so I'll just go get some long nose pliers and we can get this off. So when you're doing these bolts up, if for some reason you had them off, 15 Newton meters for the bleeder, 19 Newton meters for the two bolts that go from the cover to the housing, and they are all a 12mm head. Alright guys, this is a cool system. There is no pressure in the lines. Everything has been drained and the car's been sitting for half an hour, so it is safe to remove this hose. Now the hose clamp, we'll just pinch with long nose and move it back. So the workshop manual said to remove this hose, but I feel like you could just take these bolts off, pull it out. So getting this hose off is a bit of a pain. Once it's been seated for a few years, they're quite a pain, but now I'm just gonna have a drip pan ready underneath because coolant might come out from this cylinder block because we've only drained the radiator. Now I just want to crack these bolts. These don't get torqued up too tight, but when they've been sitting for years and years, they can be tight to crack. So I'm using a 1/2 inch to crack them because they've never come off, I doubt. Just note as well, this plug I've unclipped to get it out of the way. Don't forget to plug that back in. So there was a little bit of coolant that came out, but not a lot. That's why you really want to be careful, make sure the car is cool or cold. Otherwise you'll burn your hands. We'll give this a clean with a gasket scraper or just a plastic scraper. So we'll give the housing and the cover a clean before we put them back together. The thermostat that I bought it with a gasket. So we want a nice clean surface for that to be as effective as possible. So there's your thermostat. Just note the direction that it's facing, and if you see up the top there, it's got a little jiggle valve. So just remember that that is at the top. So that coolant is just from the cylinder block because we've only drained the radiator. Once it goes beneath that level, it'll stop. We'll go compare it with the new one. I've got a drip pan down there, so that's all good. So just compare your old and your new. You want the same diameter head. You can see the gasket on the old one. That will be replaced with a brand new one when we fit the new thermostat. That's basically it. Let's go give that gasket cover a clean. Doing that scrape, lots of crap's come off. To get the last of it off, I'll just spray a bit of brake cleaner into paper towel. Alright guys, so we have put the gasket on. Gasket goes around the outside diameter, it'll slip on, so you've got gasket either side. Now if we remember how it was, we had the jiggle valve facing up. This will clamp over the top. 19 Newton meters on these. Just get them both up firm first. Alright, so you got your bolts torqued up. We'll reconnect this. Now just got to put this hose on. And slide your clip back up. Done. Last step is to fill your coolant up and get all the bubbles out of the system. You can see all that on the coolant flush video. Alright guys, that's it for the thermostat. Pretty easy one. You basically just replace what you found. You dog. So, but once it goes beneath, normally you'd put bolts in here, but I seem to have misplaced my bolts.